You're going to need $193,692 the day you retire to pay for your transportation cost. $193,692 the day you retire. Do you have it? Do you have it? Again, more of the silliness of Fidelity study that says you need $286,000 a day you retire to pay for your healthcare cost. And using their numbers, and extrapolating them to other areas of expenditures that you have in retirement, we can play this game until we're blue in the face. And so we're going to continue this to show you the insanity of the retirement fear mongering that's out there. So let's dive into this, my friends. As always, don't forget to subscribe, smash the like button. Smashing the like button helps a lot. Comments help a lot too. And look, anything you want to comment, you can tell me I'm a flipping idiot. That's fine. But my style isn't going to change the way I do this. But I like to hear like critical ideas on maybe something I'm missing on various things. I've had a lot of good people send me illustrations, posts and whatnot from other ideas, which I think are very, very helpful. And I do enjoy reading them and sometimes report on them. And then I had a couple guys yesterday say the audio was not great in my last one. So that helped too. So don't forget to comment. Anything like that is informative. If you come across something that's of interest to you, man, put in the comments. A, it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. B, it might help me with my own understanding. And C, I can do if it's of interest that I think it'd be people would be gain something from it. I'll certainly research that and report on it. So, all right, so let's go back, look at the BL numbers as we do. Yes, man, I'm just going to put this. This is a closer looking at spender patterns of older Americans. And this article was reissued in 2016. Table 2 of this article was reissued in 2016 to correct the mean and share calculations in the rows under spending other than other. All right, under other than other. So we'll look at that. We're not talking about other. We're talking about transportation at this point. Ann Foster did this one. All right, so let's look at this. And I'm just a huge fan of the BLS stuff. And again, I'll do a full, thorough analysis of the BLS Consumer Expenditure Survey because I'm going to do that here pretty soon, probably today or tomorrow on the HRS, which is the Health and Retirement Study from University of Michigan. Which talks about it's a plethora of data. And if you're a data geek like I am, man, there's so much in just wonderful, wonderful stuff you can just take from that and report back to you all. All right, so we talk about 55 and older is what we're using. So if you're over than 55, this is your household average expenditures. I've told you before, I'm not a big fan of averages. I like the median as opposed to mean because the average on the bottom, the zero is the limit on the bottom, but there's unlimited on the top. And so the average is always going to skew it on the upside in terms of income and in terms of expenditures, simply because Jeff Bezos' income is way up here and his expenditures are probably way up there as well. But the least that you can spend is zero. And the least of your income is zero. You can't have negative. So if Jeff Bezos is way the heck up there, he's going to skew it way towards the more spending and or income. So the average is always somewhat subjective, not quite as thorough as a median, but we'll use it because I do think there's some validity here nonetheless to give you at least to make the point I'm trying to make, which is at the end of the day, stop worrying about this crazy stuff on healthcare and saying I need $286,000. I don't have it, so I can't retire. It's nuts because it's all based on cash flow. You might need $286,000, but on top of that, you need $400,000 in housing. You need $250,000 for food. You need $193,000 in transportation, and so on and so on. And you add all those up. Do you have that at the age of 65? No. Well, you don't need to have that at the age of 65. You need to have the cash flow, not the actual dollar amount, which is what ticks me off. All right, so here's 55 and older. We already did food. We already did housing, and now we're going to go down to transportation, which is the second largest expenditure per household. Now, the drawback about this, one thing I think they do overlook is they're saying the health care is just individual because it's not $5,400 per household, it's $5,400 per individual. And so it's a little bit, I know what they're saying because they're going to have some individual households that don't have two people in here. And so it's a tough one there for healthcare. And so for me to just extrapolate this twice to take that by 2, it's not quite spot on simply because healthcare, individual households, some only have one person in there. And so to say the average household spending on healthcare is 52 times 2, it's not quite as legitimate as saying it's just, it's a tough one there if you make sense. But when it comes to transportation, it's that simple. It's saying the average household spends $8,000 a year on transportation. So we extrapolate that. We say, okay, and we go back to my spreadsheet and we say, go to my spreadsheet for transportation. We're saying $8,002 a year in transportation cost. We're going to inflate this by 3% a year. So we're using a 3% inflation. All right. So by the time we hit 25 years old, the 8,002 means we're spending double that, $16,266, which means we're going to spend in total, adjusted each and every year for inflation, $291,747. That's what we're going to spend. All right. Now, at the end of the day, we're still going to get a rate of return on a certain amount of money. So we got to get a present value of what this $291,000 cost would be, because this is adjusted for inflation. How much do I need today in an account growing at a certain amount of money to pay for $291,000? And the answer is $193,000. So if I was able to have $193,000 in an account today, and I got 3% rate of return, I'd be able to use that $193,000 to afford all of this food expenditures. And by the time I died at 90, I'd bounce my last check. I'd have a negative balance of $13,312. So let's just say we're going to need $200,000 for simplicity. Now, if I give you a 6% rate of return, I'd only need $145,000 because I'm getting more growth on this money right here to be able to accommodate the 3% increase of transportation due to inflation. So here I need we'll just say 150 or 200. So between 150 and 200, depending on what rate of return you get on your investments, in order to offset the increasing transportation costs of 3%. I hope that makes sense. And again, here we're left with $838. We're not quite bounced our check, but you get it. We're still leaving very, very minimal, if anything, at our death in 25 years from now. All right, so $100,000 at 3% or $145,000, $150,000 at 6%. And if you're going to sue at 0%, which you shouldn't do, I didn't even calculate it because I don't know why anyone would do a 0% rate of return. So there you go. So for transportation costs, and we go back to BLS, per household, the average household is the second highest right there form of expenditure. I mean, 16.2% of our expenditures on the average expenditures for older Americans goes to transportation for ages 55 older. Number one is housing. Number two is transportation. Number three is food. Number four is healthcare. Actually, no. Number five is healthcare. Number four is something else. And this is the table they adjusted for. So number four is other, and number five is healthcare. Now, if we go over to age 75 older, let me move this out of the way. We'll see housing is still by far and away the largest expense at 36.5. Healthcare is now number two at 15.6. Let's see. Transportation went down quite a bit, if I'm not mistaken. Transportation is still at 13.9. which is the third largest. So we got housing, healthcare, transportation, other, and then food. So there's a little bit of a change in the top five, but still the same top five. Of those five is that healthcare assumes more of a dominant role as you get older. But again, I'm still not even close to anything else, and everything else is still within spitting distance. I mean, transportation is at 13.9, healthcare is at 15.6. And see, this is at this age, they're more likely to be widows, so you can start saying the healthcare is probably spot on. But I just, I don't like doing that because I just, when we know that Part B, Part D, and then any supplemental insurance policies that you have will cost a certain amount of money per person, I'm not comfortable using this amount as the household, because if you have Charlotte and Josh, we're going to spend more than $54.52 a year on healthcare just for Part B, Part D, and then Medicare medical supplemental policies, Medicare supplements. Either way, but you can see, so healthcare goes from 8.8 at 55 to 64. When you're still on your employer health insurance, it goes to 12.2, then it goes to 15.6. Housing goes from 32 to 36. Transportation goes from 16.6 to 17.1 down to 13.9. Other goes from 10.6 to 10.8 to 13.7. And food sits right around about 12% of your expenditures will go to food. And that doesn't change much. 12.1, 12.9, 11.9. So roughly about 12%. All right, my friends, as always, smash, comment, like, and then share the video if this is informative to you. I'll put a link of the BLS stuff in the show notes, and stay tuned because we'll talk about healthcare next. I think it's pretty important. Thanks now. real quick, the percentage. I just actually want to see what the other says. So other is saying includes cash contributions, alcohol, tobacco, personal care products and services, reading, education, life, and personal insurance. Personal insurance is a big one. That's interesting. And miscellaneous expenses. So just to let you know what other was, I probably figured I'd let you know what that is. Like personal insurance and services are probably the two biggest ones. You got guy mowing your lawn. So, all right. Thanks, guys.